Namaste and welcome to yet another edition of The Right Perspective. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on India completing 75 years of its independence started and set a vision document in place for our Azadi Ka Amrit Kal. That means 25 years from here on until 2047. Where are we going to be as a nation? He talked about 5 important aspects as prana and then said, let's make it a prana also. When I say prana, you need to imbibe it as part of your conscience as a country, as its citizenry. The first thing that he talked about, that we need to think of ourselves and we need to become Viksit Bharat. So by 2047, we are no longer thinking of ourselves or behaving or being a developing nation. We will be developed nation. For that, we have to take some big sankalpas or we have to make some big pledges, tasks that we have to undertake. He also talked about the fact that we need to break ourselves from all sorts of gulami or servility. We need to be ourselves because we are Bharat and Bharatiya. Shed all aspects of colonialism, coloniality, and of course gulami, servility. He also talked about ekta and ekjutta, that we need to work together collectively as a country. He spoke about our virasat, preserving it, learning from it, and finding our roots so that we stay rooted. We don't drift away. We are not molded by other thought processes because we are sure of our own. So that's where heritage comes forth. And more importantly, and I think the 5th one he underlined, is Nagrik Kartavya. That is the commitment of each person, duty, dharma, from the aspect of your duty towards the country. So not just one nation, one identity and working together, unified in unity, but more importantly, understanding our Nagrik Kartavya. Now, is this possible? That's the question. We have got students from Amity University. Thank you, welcome. So we've recognized the audience and they're going to be asking the questions to people who have written about it, spoken about it, and who have been through the entire process of our country growing, developing, and of course, changing its posture. So we have right at the center, Ajay Duaji, former Secretary, Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Ajay ji, namaste. I have Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, Distinguished Fellow of the Vivekananda Foundation. Namaste, sir. Thank you very much, Jai Hind. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra. He's a good friend, but he's also Senior Fellow, Institute of Peace and Conflict Studies, writes regularly and contributes with us on news18.com and on First Post. So thank you very much. So big round of applause for our guests. So let me start with you, Ajay ji. This 5 Panch Pran or Panch Pran, possible hai? Kar sakte hain as a country hum?
Certainly.
Which is, where do we have to start? Or do we have to do all of it together?
Let me put it this way. The Prime Minister is a very good leader. And on an occasion like this, he demonstrated his leadership qualities to the hilt, if I might say. That is, set the country high, ambitious goals. Something which the country and its citizens have to strive for. They may not be easy to achieve, but they are not impossible either. So in those terms, if you look at, he's made the premises are twofold. One, we've made progress in the last 75 years, but going forward, it has to be much faster, at a much faster pace, and much more comprehensive than we've done it in the past.
General Sahab?
Yeah, thank you, Anand, for inviting. Now, the part is that there is immense amount of depth in these 5 pledges that the Prime Minister gave. He brought us to aspirational society, which is a great thing. We've been talking about our India is an aspirational society. Everybody wants to rise higher and higher. But then, having said that, he also took us back to our heritage, which is also there. So he says, okay, there is modernity, there is change, which is imperative in next 25 years, but there is also a heritage which is important. So while getting modern, don't forget your heritage. So I find a very great balance brought about into these 5 pledges that the Prime Minister stated so. And also, when he says leave the legacy, gulami, legacies. It's not the first time the Prime Minister has spoken about legacy. He said earlier also, when he spoke in Kevadia last year, he said, okay, let's jettison legacy, think modern. I think there is great amount of analysis required on each one of these issues. Of all this while, as you are aware, Anand, we keep analyzing regularly Xi Jinping's dream, Chinese dream 2049, and he said moderately well-off society 2035. So everybody else's dreams we keep analyzing. Let's start talking our own dreams, yeah? What does aspirational society mean?
And we are far getting uprooted from what was traditionally ours. We are not thinking as Indians or individuals. We are getting brainwashed.
So thanks for having me on, Anand. I would say that, India and India's youth especially are a lot less westernized than a lot of the other youth you come across in, say, China or Japan. Despite having very old histories of their own, or Korea even, they have very old histories, many thousand-year-old civilizations and things like that. They tend to ape the West far, far more blindly than we do. For example, the normal political dress in Korea or Japan or China is the suit. Who in India will ever wear a suit? If you want to have any chance of getting elected, I don't think you may get into the Rajya Sabha wearing a suit. But if you want to win a Lok Sabha seat or an assembly seat, best of luck trying to campaign in a three-piece suit and trying to win your election. I think that's why Suit Boot Ki Sarkar came about because of that. So I think even in our other outlook, we tend to be much more Indian. So that, I think, is the least of my concerns. My big concern is we hear a lot of these statements. We don't hear the micro detail, the ways and the means of getting there. So for me, the three big ways of getting there would be regulation, land, and energy. Now, regulation is still, highly contested. You have these retrospective taxes, and then only when international arbitration goes against you, even then you don't change retrospective taxes. It's only when the government starts seizing Indian national property abroad that, things happen. Number two, energy. We still lose energy is required for industrialization. We still lose $16 to $20 billion every year in stolen energy. Yeah. We've seen nothing over the last 8 years to fix that. And that is 4 to 5 nuclear reactors that you could have built every year with that money lost.
Let me ask you, how many of you believe we can do it?
I believe we can do it.
You believe we can do it?
Yes, I believe we can do it, but for that, we as an individual will have to take a single pledge. Yes, we want to do it. We see ourselves after 100 years that we are a developed country, and we will have to do it.
But how will we do it? So let's talk about, I'm not even going for the first four, the last part of Nagrik Kartavya. What do you mean by citizens' duty?
It's a moral duty. We are a part of India. We are Indians, and we should respect our culture. We should respect our tradition. We should be proud of it. We should not be ashamed of it. I can still see stereotypical thought processes, like if girls wear suits, so Western girl would say like, oh, isn't a suit pehna hai? She is of old school thoughts. This should not be the thought process.
So you're saying, so somewhere you have talked about a thought process. I'm saying basic citizens' duty is also like what? Follow traffic rules, you don't need to be fined for it. Okay, park your car in the right way. Be conscious of your carbon footprint. Is it possible for us? The Prime Minister talked about women. This whole section is 50% of the audience plus is women. I'm so happy about it. But ladies, tell me, where do you stand? Is it possible?
Yeah, I think it is possible.
हाँ, पर क्या करना होगा उसके लिए?
सबसे पहले बात तो हमें यूनिटी को लाना पड़ेगा हमारे अंदर.
हाँ.
और जो गैदरिंग इससे ला सकता है, हम इससे अपना जो मैसेज है वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा फैला पाएंगे. और मुझे लगता है कि जो लोग सोशल मीडिया में अपनी सिर्फ सेल्फी या फिर इन्फ्लुएंसिंग फोटोज़ वगैरह जो डालते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि एक पोस्ट इन सब के बारे में भी डालना चाहिए कि हाँ ये सब का किया जा सकता है. इससे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ऑडियंस अट्रैक्ट होंगे.
क्या बात है. एक पोस्ट देश के लिए भी कर लो, है ना? गुड सजेशन अभिजीत. हाँ, एनीबॉडी एल्स?